So it described you as an outsider in this fishing industry, and really that's what you are. I mean, you see the wall of baits behind you. You're an avid bass fisherman, but as far as the fishing industry, you've been successful outside of it in business, and now you're deciding to kind of throw your hat into the ring, so to speak. And just for the low lifers, as they like to refer to themselves on Low Budget Live here, kind of give us a history of your background and maybe your passion, your love for fishing, your journey in fishing that kind of got us to where we're at today, what we're going to talk about. The folks at Jinko Fishing not only bring you the Low Budget Live podcast, they also bring you all the action, like that insane rolling action the Don series of minnows has, whether it's that 3-inch little Don all the way to the 6-inch big minnow profile Don Senior. When paired with the Revolution head, you truly have a perfect minnow shaking combination that bass absolutely cannot stand. And now, if you're looking for the perfect rod to shake your minnow with, or maybe even throw a drop shot, throw a wacky worm, the Deceiver Rod Series Elite FFS rods are finally here. I got to play around with these last summer. These have a nano carbon blank. Fantastic guides. They have been perfectly matched to certain techniques. And when I tell you for under $200, this is the nicest spinning rod you will put in your hand. If you don't believe me, go try it for yourself. Use code LBL25 at jinkofishing.com. That's right, 25% off just for being a lowlifer. Go shake your minnow with this. Thank me later. Now we got to hang the banner. That Bassmaster Classic winning banner, the Express Boats X21 Pro original all-welded bass machine is what I'm running right now with a 250 Yamaha Show. Fastest hole shot in the game. More tackle storage than you can shake a stick at. And introducing the all-new XR21, which will be out there on that Elite Series this year with Lee Livesey, Caleb Summerall, and Billy Lowen running that thing all over the country. I may or may not know a guy that's fixing to get his hands on one too. Completely redesigned hull. That thing is an absolute workhorse, and you'll get to see it very, very soon. Go to a dealer near you or check out expressboats.com to find the closest dealer. Go sit in one. I promise you, you will understand why Express Boats has been building excitement since 1966.
Blues, it happens every night,
every old night.
And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
I have not.
Summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
Sweet.
This highway does not know my name, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care.
Now,
heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and
right to the hook right here. Come out.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low Budget Live, the Not So Live variety from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful southern middle Tennessee. And I hope all you lowlifers are doing well out there on this fine, as you're listening to this, fine February the 9th, 2026. And this podcast is being brought to you by the folks at Jinko Fishing, and you can use code LBL25 at jinkofishing.com to save money on everything over there. And I want to, real quick, thank everybody that joined in right here in the Bar and Grill for the whatnot Jinko online garage boat tackle sale, whatever you want to call it, that we did this past Thursday, because I don't have anything left. And it was kind of crazy. It was the low lifers showed up and showed out, to say the least. So thank y'all. We're probably going to do another one again with the Jinko guys. I had so much fun with that, man. It was reminded me of the old LBL days, to say the least. And Cole Walker is a guru at the I feel like I was on Home Shopping Network a little bit. That deal was wild, but thank y'all for showing up and showing out, as always, the low lifers. And you get another opportunity to show up and show out on the Saturday night of the Bassmaster Classic, March Let's just look at it real quick. Let's just look at it. I'm going to keep telling y'all about it because y'all been asking. March 14th, Low Budget live in Knoxville. Music, podcast, setting up the guests now. It's going to be a time. All right, this podcast is going to be a time today. Man, I am feeling it today, to say the least, because we get to talk about some very, very exciting things today with our guests. But before we get to that, let's talk about the fact that Drew Gill doesn't need 8 hours of a day to crush your hopes and dreams. Drew Gill only needs three hours a day. And if you're keeping score at home, that's basically 9 hours out of 24 hours if it's an 8-hour tournament day. Yes, I went to county school, and I still know that math. He is beating the brakes off everybody. I'm recording this on a Sunday. He is beating the brakes off of everyone down at the Harris Chain. Probably going to win by definitely well over double digits down there on a very tough Harris Chain in the cold. This week, I think there were like 40-something pros that even called a limit the first day. Drew had 3 for 21 pounds the first day. Something to that effect. Insanity. But congrats, Drew, on just continuing his dominance of everything tournament-wise that starts with an M and an L and an F. It doesn't matter if it's Pro Circuit, Toyotas, BPT, whatever. He's like, oh, man, make it 30 minutes. I'll still win with the old cheater box. It's impressive, man. It's impressive because everybody's got it, dude. Everybody's got it. And he's just, I think I've said it before, but we need Drew Gill out of fishing, and we need him solving cancer, curing cancer. We need him solving some of the world's biggest problems. We need Drew Gill as president of the United States, over the United Nations, solving world peace, world hunger. I don't know. Drew Gill is way too intelligent to just be fishing for bass. And listen, I'm throwing all of us bass fishermen under the bus with that one. He's smarter than all of us. He just is. The boy is special. So congrats to Drew on another win in dominant fashion. They just handcuff him just a little bit. And he's like, it's okay. This is all I need, really. And I don't care. Get in the comments and say, take it away and see what he does. Doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. He's playing by the rules, and he is drilling people. And I forget which win this is in a very short period of time, but he's the scope king without question. And congrats. Speaking of scope kings, well, we didn't get to see who the scope king was on Guntersville this week, and that tournament's still going on. They got about an hour left as I record this, but Hammer and Hank Cherry in the lead right now, and he has been doing work in about as old school of a way as you can. My man doing work with a grub, a chartreuse grub at that, but a grub, winding that bad boy slow. I mean, a wintertime pattern from way back in the day, and has been crushing here on the final day. Stetson Blaylock having a heck of a tournament too. Really don't know who's going to win, man. Whoever catches them late, obviously. Hank had a little bit of a deficit coming in, but I've had a feeling when he jumped up there, obviously won the Classic on Guntersville, got experience there. Hank knows how to win as well as anybody. And today, man, it's just been that day on live. I got to watch a lot of it this morning, and he has been absolutely having a fantastic event, along with, Stetson Blaylock, like I said, is in second right now. Stetson's been on a heck of a run. Really looked like he was going to run off with it early on the final day. And then Jamie Hartman's had an incredible tournament. Brandon Card's had an incredible tournament. My buddy Justin Atkins, don't turn that boy loose with Humminbird 360 and side imaging, and nobody else can do anything else electronics-wise on the Tennessee River. That boy's bad. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, seen that, experienced that firsthand too many times, and he's having a great week. Wes Logan, a great week. The most interesting storyline, one of, anyways, if not the most, is the blind minnow shaking by Jamie Hartman and Stetson Blaylock. So I guess we're just going to have to, sorry, Don Minners, sorry, Jinko, sorry, Shakamata, sorry, everybody that's made a minnow. We're going to have to ban minners now. We're just going to have to ban minners. It's been really cool to see that. I've actually seen that in some Alabama Bass Trail tournaments doing on the water coverage. I've seen some blind minnow shaking before, but it just shows you the power of this lure category, man. And obviously with the tech, when you combine it, it's insane. But this thing just has drawing power. It's a very natural presentation. The water's clear. It's cold. And Jamie Hartman's been putting on a dang show. Stetson Blaylock today caught a 6-pounder and several more on it. So interesting to see. And you know, the crazy thing for me in this event is just, again, social media comments never disappoint. And I read one. I meant to post this because it's so funny. This is one. This was John Shue said, instead of everyone throwing minnows, everyone is throwing lipless. Boring. You can't win them all, man. You can't win them all. But there's been a lot of comments like, I ain't watching them stare at a screen. Then people are like, they're not staring at a screen. They actually have their screens covered up for the most part. Anyways, fantastic event though, man. Those guys got dealt a brutal hand at Guntersville. I talked about it last week. I fished over there a good bit in the cold, and it's not easy. And they really, really caught them good. It's gotten a little bit better as the week's gone on. And so whoever ends up winning in the next hour and a half, looking like maybe Hank Cherry or Stetson Blaylock, when y'all are listening to this, you'll already know. But one heck of an event. And then they're going right down the road to Lake Martin for a spotted bass, potentially a few largemouth mixed in, beat down that will be a forward-facing sonar tournament. So for all y'all that didn't get to complain about it this week, get ready. Stretch them fingers out. You're going to see some minnows shaking and catching some minnows because them Lake Martin spots don't exactly get very, very healthy most of the time. All right. It's been a crazy, busy week in the world of bass fishing, and I'm glad we're back. I'm glad things are happening. Tournaments are happening. NPFL is about to start back in a couple weeks. I'm grateful for all things. Got a couple ABTs coming up. But, man, this week, I feel like, I said this on social media, that my thunder, somebody was trying to steal my thunder a little bit. You know, I announced the Triple Threat Series, which I was going to pay somewhere between, I think it was $9 and maybe $19 million first place, and no entry fees, and you may or may not be able to cash the checks, and we don't know the schedule yet. Y'all have heard me talk about it. And no, it's not dual threat fishing, the infamous team trail at this point. It's not dual threat stealing my thunder, okay? Because there's been several anglers this week, from what I've been told, that their checks bounced, and then others that haven't been able to cash checks, and the story keeps changing there. No, it's not dual threat. They're not a threat. I'm not worried about them. No. There was a major announcement, maybe one of the biggest announcements, do we say ever, in the sport of professional bass fishing in terms of money? I don't know. This one caught everybody off guard. I think that was the point of the announcement and how it was done. But World Bass Enterprises, and you may be asking yourself, Self, what is World Bass? Who in the world? You don't know, because none of us know, okay? In the article I read, this gentleman has been dubbed an outsider, coming in to offer one of the biggest purses we have ever seen, if not the biggest purse we have ever seen in professional bass fishing. If you haven't seen it and you've been under a rock this week because they executed a well-ran, PR circus this week on social media with a lot of pros making posts about this, but I believe the event's going to be called the Championship or the Champions event, something along those lines. I don't do my research. Y'all know that. Actually, it's just slipping my mind right now. $1.25 million going to first place in this event. How you qualify will be by winning individual BPT or Bassmaster Elite events, okay? Also, the top 25 in the point standings from this year will qualify for this event to see who the true world champion is of professional bass fishing kind of deal. That's the premise. A lot like the old TTBC events back in Texas used to be, okay? The format has certainly been done before, and it was awesome. It's been gone for a very long time for a multitude of reasons. But this gentleman, Brian says, you know what? I'm seeing a fishing industry torn apart. I like pro fishing. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. It started as just a random conversation, apparently, and then turned into reality. And now at the end of October here in 2026, so just a few months away, they will be hosting this event in Nashville, Tennessee. Will be fished on Old Hickory, Old Stingy, as the locals call it. Very tough fishery, especially that time of year. But somebody's going to walk out of there with $1.25 million. That's the game plan. And as I have said very many times on this show, I'm a skeptic. If it sounds too good to be true, a lot of times it is when it comes to fishing. But I will say on this deal, I've done some digging this week, and Mr. Bird has his things together. He is doing things the right way, to say the very least, as far as organizing an event. And we are going to talk to him about it right now. I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk to. He may be an outsider, but he ain't going to be an outsider for long. He keeps throwing money like this around in professional bass fishing. Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour, Brian Bird. Well, all right, as promised, here he is, the man that shook up the bass fishing world, to say the least, this week. Brian Bird, thank you for joining us on Low Budget Live, sir.
Luke, it's my pleasure. And, we had a lot of fun this last week, and a lot of cool things that were announced, and looking forward to keep the train moving. So thanks for having me.
Hey, no doubt about it, man. I was glad you guys reached out, because as an article I read about you, so it described you as an outsider in this fishing industry, and really that's what you are. I mean, you see the wall of baits behind you. You're an avid bass fisherman, but as far as the fishing industry, you've been successful outside of it in business, and now you're deciding to kind of throw your hat into the ring, so to speak. And just for the low lifers, as they like to refer to themselves on Low Budget Live here, kind of give us a history of your background and maybe your passion, your love for fishing, your journey in fishing that kind of got us to where we're at today, what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So, me and my dad grew up fishing stock tanks here in Texas, out in West Texas. I was born in Coleman, done a lot of fishing around Coleman, Texas. And for the anglers out there that know OHIV, the land of the giants, a lot of those stock tanks were 20, 30 miles from OHIV. And that's what we did for fun on the weekends. We fished out of old tubes, threw an old man's grape worm, and an old H&H spinnerbait. Those were the baits that we had. No pico perch. Those were about the three things, and a hula popper, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
There wasn't no poppars and stuff. At least I didn't know of any poppars or anything. Those were kind of the four baits we threw back then. So just loved it. I was pretty good at it. My dad I had an uncle and a cousin that loved to fish as much as we did. And I was quite a bit younger than all of them, but he always took me on his team, and there was always some type of bet of him.
Okay.
He caught the most fish throughout the day. And it's pretty cool to catch a 6-7 pound bass when you're 9-10 years old in a tube, and it's just pulling you around in the tank.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool. So that was kind of how I fell in love with the sport. Once I graduated high school, me and my dad fished fishing tournaments together.
Okay.
Actually, whenever OHIV first opened out there, we fished some tournaments out there. And my dad had the lake record of like 4 pounds and something.
Oh.
Yeah. For like 3 days it lasted. But it didn't take it long for it to get broke. But his buddies played a pretty good prank on him that night. They were celebrating. And apparently they were turning the tequila bottle up and blowing bubbles in it. And he was just turning it up and sucking it down. And yeah. Rumor has it he had a pretty rough night and slept on a trampoline. So.
I think you earn a night to sleep on a trampoline when you catch a lake record, even if it's short lived.
That's right. But that's kind of my background in fishing. Married my wife. Met my wife when I was 23, 2022. And her family grew up in the mountains in the summertime, and so she introduced me to the mountains, and I really got hooked into fly fishing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been about 15 years or so or more. Just our trips were in the summer. We went somewhere in the mountains and went and became a pretty avid fly fisherman and loved it. You know, it was pretty cool. Then COVID hit, came back and got back into bass fishing during COVID and went and bought a boat and started fishing tournaments with friends around here. It's what everybody was doing, right? During COVID, it seemed like
For sure.
everybody went. I think the sport grew probably tenfold whenever COVID happened, just because people were looking for something to do, and it seemed like everybody was going to buy boats and everybody was out fishing. So I guess while COVID was bad, it was good for fishing, I think.
Listen, in the marine industry, which is another part of my life, selling boat parts, I don't want anybody to ever get sick again, or for the world to be as crazy as COVID. But we could take another COVID as far as boat sales are concerned in my world, because it was just unprecedented. Whether it was pontoon customers of mine, ski boat customers of mine, or bass boat customers, I mean, people were just, it's the only thing they could do. You know, they felt like they could do
away from everybody. You know, they felt safe doing it. So.
That's right. There was such a boom, man, but in tackle sales as well. I mean, it was insane. And it's funny. I've got a couple of friends that, you know, from different walks of life they got into bass fishing, not getting back into it. They discovered bass fishing during that time now. So, you know, some friends of mine. So it was kind of it was a crazy, terrible time for a lot of different reasons, but it was, man, it opened a lot of people up to the outdoors. That's for sure. So you've competed in a lot of tournaments over the years, but was that at any point, obviously you've ran a successful business, but at any point did you think, man, I'd like to do this for a living? Did you ever have that thought as a kid or anything? Man, I'd like to fish in those stock tanks. I'd like to be a professional bass angler.
Yeah, you know, I would. Yeah, definitely had the thought and the dream how cool it would be to be able to fish for a living. Grew up watching Hank Parker, Bill Dance, and Roland Martin. You know, watching them guys fish, and then you know the classics and all that. Yeah, of course, would have loved to have been able to do that, but you know, I didn't really know. I didn't have the means, for one, to even try to do it, and two, didn't know about how to do it. And lake fishing from tank fishing is a totally different ball game, you know.
Sure.
So, but I've learned a lot about fishing the lakes in the last. Now that I've gotten older, I didn't even know what a jerk bait was 5 years ago.
No kidding.
No kidding. Yeah. But I've worked hard and I've become a pretty good, you know, fisherman here. I won a few tournaments on Ivy. I taught sitting here looking at a picture. She weighed 1356. They're on Ivy and won that tournament that we fished in. So
let's just be honest. Some days fish don't want to bite. They don't like us as much as we like them. So you need to give yourself an advantage. So why not slather up your soft plastics in some bait fuel by American Bait Works? Put it in a bag of your favorite plastics, let it marinate. It's going to create a scent cloud that should get you extra bites out there on the water. We live in a world where fishing pressure is at an all-time high. Technology is the best we've ever seen it in our lifetimes, and lures are amazing, lifelike. Tricking a bass can be hard sometimes. Put the odds in your favor. Designed in a lab and proven on the water over and over. Bait fuel. The folks at Pro Guide Batteries have been in this battery game for over 30 years. Trust people that know the battery world. They're not just some fly-by-night company. They've got you covered, whether it's their lead acid, their AGMs, or their new Alpha Series lithium line, and not to mention their new amazing chargers. I've been running them in the Express now for, I believe this is the 4th year I've been running Pro Guide batteries. No issues. Could not be more blown away by their product line and the people behind it. You can use code LBL10 at ProGuideBatteries.com to tell them you're a lowlifer and find out for yourself what Pro Guide is all about. And last but not least this week, what's up, old boy? Get on over to oldboy.com, Old Boy Outfitters, and check out everything they have to offer, from their game day hats, some of the finest hats in the game. They've got everything to let people know you are an old boy that likes being outdoors, whether it's hunting and fishing. You can rep your style, rep your passions. Oldboyoutfitters.com. Use code OldBoyLuke, OldBoy Luke at checkout to let them know you are a low-lifer. What's up, old boy?
I've caught on pretty quick and learned some things about it. I learned it's a humbling sport. That's for damn sure.
Listen, that's the old cliche saying, right? Man, it's the most humbling sport in the world, but it is. You can go from hero to zero very fast, obviously. So the way I've read this story, Brian, on this World Bass Enterprises and this big event, it started on a fishing trip. The conversation started around a campfire. So how do we go from a campfire conversation to this big announcement from the past week? So how did that kind of start? Walk us through that.
Yeah, we just it was 2 summers ago the initial conversation started, and then we went back again this last summer, and my wife went with me this time, and Dalton Smith, who's our VP of marketing, he's a guide down on the OHIV. I was his very first client to ever fish with him, and so Dalton's kind of been my mentor of teaching me about all the bass fishing, the 2 leagues, and who all these fishermen are. And he's a pretty good stoper, and he works with me on my stoping game. And so anyway, we talked about it again. And when we was coming back, I said, Dalton, when we get back, I'm gonna look into this and get more serious about it. See what it's doing, see what it would take to do something like this. We saw a need for it. And we thought it would be well received, and but didn't really know, exactly what all it would take to put something on like this. So come back, called a lawyer friend of mine that's represented me in my other business for the last 20 plus years, and he said, Brian, he said he thought it was really cool because he knew I love bass fishing. He's like, man, I'm so glad to hear you're doing something in an area that you just truly love. This will be fun to watch. And anyway, he introduced me to a firm out in LA that specializes in sports productions and sports management. And they represent a lot of NBA players and NFL players. And just, so they're real familiar with this world. And talked to them, told them what I was wanting to do, and they loved the idea. They thought, this is cool. Yeah, we could get in and help support you. And so they just started making some introductions. First introduction was to a company called Excel Sports Management. They put on a lot of sporting events, helped produce them, and then from there I started sharing my vision with them of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to put on, what I wanted it to be like. And the whole reasoning behind it, and that's what led to I guess it's about September, October of this last year is when we started really getting serious about it, and just started putting things together, and started hiring some people. My son-in-law works for us; he's our CFO. My youngest son is on the team, and he's running the expo. Got some other responsibilities. He's actually in Guntersville right now, waiting to see who the winner is. We got a little trophy to present to him, a hat and a shirt, and going to do a little interview and be, qualifier number 2. So, so getting some footage of that. And so, we're just slowly but surely pedaling away, getting everything done.
So on the event side, obviously you're working with some pros that are great at putting on big events as far as, sporting events, different things. As far as like the tournament side, like the nuts and bolts of the tournament, will you lean on, folks like a Dalton or I know Brett Cannon is working with you guys doing some things as well. Those guys are, they fish tournaments, but will you lean on them, or will you find a tournament crew that's made up of veteran folks that have actually ran bass tournaments for the bass tournament portion of? I know it's a lot more than just a tournament, obviously, but for the tournament side of it, how are you guys looking into that?
Yeah, no, definitely we'll be leaning on Dalton and Brett. But I fished some of the opens with them 2 years ago and saw how they ran their tournaments on the elites, and fishing pretty big trails here in Texas. So we all got a pretty good idea how a tournament should be ran. But we're in talks with some people that could produce it. We'll see how that still pans out. But I would think in the next month or two, I'd be able to give you, hey, this is who's going to do it, and this is how we're going to go about it. But we know how we want it to look, how it should look, and don't have anybody hired and on board yet for that part, but it's coming.
Yeah, and and the reason I ask, we've had a deal that I won't even throw the name of it out there, but a new deal that was promising a lot to anglers as far as it was a team tournament thing, and they had no organization. You are leaps and bounds, sir, ahead of what we've seen with that, and not to necessarily knock that, but that's the biggest thing I think that we see in tournament angling is, man, if you gotta stick the landing, right? Like that's what I've always said working with the guys at MPFL, man, you gotta stick the landing. You can have the best idea in the world. This as a successful businessman, you gotta stick the landing. So that's why I asked that, on the tournament side, who will kind of be the boots on the ground? Because it sounds like you guys are far and away rolling on the the event portion of it. So let me ask you this, as a Texas guy, Texans are a lot like Tennesseans. Y'all are proud to be from, by God, Texas. Everything's bigger and badder in Texas. But I got to ask you, you just said, man, O.H. Ivy, I'm looking at a 13-pounder, catch all these giant bass down here. Y'all got more giant bass anywhere. Why are you coming to my lovely volunteer state for your inaugural event? I got to ask you, being a Texas guy, having it in Nashville, even though I think it's an awesome place to have it, I was like, now why in the world aren't we having this in Texas?
That's a good question. I actually try to push for Texas at a couple of locations, but people on the team were like, no, we got to go to Nashville.
Okay.
And I argued with, being the boss, I've learned I'm not always right. I like to think that I am, but
me too.
So I was listening to them and their reasoning why, and it made sense to me after some time that, yeah, we have the best fisheries, but these anglers all know these fisheries, right? I mean,
yeah,
we've all been multiple times. There's been, the Classic's been here twice out of the last 3 years, I think, or 4 years. I mean, MLF was down here last year fishing Ivy and Lake Brownwood. They're fishing Whitney and
coming back
this year. Conroe's been hit a bunch of times. There's some fisheries, if they could catch some water, on the border down there, they would be awesome places that haven't been explored in a long time, but they're so low, it's just hard to, and they didn't say, you need a big, you need a big city to host something like this that offers everything you need to do this. And they just kept telling me, man, Nashville's the place to go. It's everybody wants to go to Nashville. You got the Gaylord, and you got all this stuff. And I said, okay, let's go to Nashville. We'll go to Nashville and put it on. And, Tennessee's, a lot of bass fishermen in Texas. There's a lot of bass fishermen in Tennessee. There's a lot of bass fishermen in Alabama.
No doubt.
So it's kind of a good central location. I think we'll draw a great crowd, reaching out all around y'all, Kentucky. I mean, you are kind of just surrounded by all the states that love the bass fish. So
that's a fact.
So that's why we're coming there. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I've said on this show, and I think I told you this, we spoke briefly on the phone the other day, that I've said for years, and I actually, when I fished the FLW tour, I was on an angler panel. I used to tell them, man, why not have one out of Nashville? Let's have the Forest Wood Cup there. Let's do something different, because none of the major trails have done this. Now, They've had tournaments on Old Hickory in the past, things like that, years and years and years ago, right? But an event of this magnitude, a championship-style event, Nashville's perfect. And, of course, I mean, it's an hour up the road for me. So, of course, selfishly, I want every event to be in Nashville. That way I can sleep in my own bed and go to the event. But, no, I've said for years, man, it's set up for it. They've got the facilities. They've got 2 or 3 different fisheries around there. Now, what can fans expect from you guys on the expo side of it, on the entertainment side of it? What will you do to separate this from, say, the Classic and Red Crest? Do you got some ideas you can share with us as far as like how you're going to mix it up a little bit and change it? Because, I mean, obviously the formula has been, you got an expo, boat type show, tackle show, and then a fishing tournament going on at the same time for years. But how will this be different?
Yeah, I mean, so I've never been to a classic or a red crest, so I haven't the gist of kind of how they run, but our expo is not just going to be fishing; it's going to be an all outdoor type expo where we expect hunting, probably hunting companies, apparel to hunting, fishing, camping. I know we're talking to some RV companies. We were just trying to really make it a big time all outdoor type expo. As far as the rest of it, we're gonna have bands. So the park there at Saunders Ferry Park, it's 60, 70 acres, I think. There'll be two stages, the main stage for the weigh-in and for the A performer. We're having a big concert on that Friday night by an A-list performer. But throughout the whole tournament for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday through the day, we're going to have around 5 or 6 bands a day on some separate stages playing music. We got food and beverage coming in to serve all types of cool. I mean, we're not just letting anybody come in. It's going to be a really cool type food and beverage type atmosphere, for people to serve their food and serve. Got some beer companies coming in that brew their own beer and make it some cool stuff there. We're going to be putting on some horseshoe tournaments, some cornhole tournaments, some flipping tournaments that'll start the day of the tournament and go all the way through the weekend with the champion crowned at the end. We're going to give away some pretty cool prizes there on that. Watch parties throughout Nashville, probably at least 2 watch parties a day going on throughout Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so that you can, go to a watch party if that's what you want to do. One of the cool honky tonks in Nashville. We're renting out the whole building, right? It's ours. So it'll still be a lot of fun. The kids' fish tanks are going to be there. All the giveaways that we're going to be having. Just a really true, friendly type family atmosphere. One of the things we're going to do that's really cool, I think, is our opening ceremonies Thursday morning for the tournament is, we're going to have another A-list performer sing the national anthem. We're going to have a flyover. We're going to have fireworks. We're going to do a old-fashioned shotgun start that, yeah. So,
line them up, son. We're going to line them up.
Yeah. So we're going to go out 25, 26, 27 at a time. There's going to be 2 flights that go out, and we got an old cannon found. We got this on a shoot. When the cannon goes off, the first flight goes out.
I got to ask: is it Hank Williams Jr.'s cannon? Because I know old Hank has some cannons now.
Well,
he may have one on the banks of Old Hickory, for all I know. I know.
Might be. I don't know where it's come from. To be truthful with you, I just know I was told the other day by one of our partners that the cannon's been located. So
okay, it might be Hank's. There's a video of Hank Williams Jr. Sorry, my brain. I'm a music nut, and my ADD brain interrupts the podcast sometimes, Brian. So I apologize. The people that listen every week will say, "Yeah, this is one of Luke's rants." But there's a video on YouTube, on social media of Hank showing off his cannon collection. So maybe Hank's, man. Why wouldn't Hank Williams Jr. have a cannon? Sorry about that. That's just where my mind went.
I'm sure Hank's probably got lots of cool toys. If I was a kid.
Yeah. Josephus, man. He's supposed to have that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get Hank to come there and shoot the cannon.
Listen, you already have my attention about this, Brian. You get Josephus to shoot a cannon for blast off, I'm going to just beg for a pass just to stand next to him to watch that go down.
I was talking with the Tennessee Tourism, the state coordinator, the other day for all the Tennessee tourism, and he's over the fishing side of it, and he works close with Bill Dance on the Bill Dance of the lakes. And I asked him, they were meeting with him this Tuesday. I said, well, ask Bill if he'll come out and shoot the cannon for us the first day. Said, we don't need him to shoot it every day, but I just thought it'd be real cool to have the legend of Tennessee to come out and and shoot those cannons. I don't know if his schedule fits into it, but they were going to mention it to him to see if he'd be interested. So
yeah, that's almost like you could either have Bill or have Dolly Parton, right? Those are two Tennessee, celebrities. That might as well be the king and queen of our fair state right here, as far if you asking me.
Yeah, well, I've been down to Dollywood. That's a pretty cool place as well. So,
yeah, Miss Dolly, she could run for governor every year and would definitely be elected. Everybody loves Dolly, I think, around here. So obviously you're throwing one heck of a party. It sounds like a big event, and the money, this payout, $1.25 million going to the winner of a bass fishing tournament. We've only seen, I believe it might've been 3 $1 million winners. It's been a very long time since we've seen that. Early 2000s time frame, and we've not seen anything like that in years and years and years. But they were also produced by FLW at the time, right? So there's never been a kind of a standalone event. We had the Texas Toyota deals. Nothing has ever paid anything like this. So obviously, man, you put your money where your mouth is. That's what I said in the intro, man. You said this is a segmented, divided sport. I want to try to bring it together. I want to put on the biggest deal that has ever happened, and you're going to do that. My question is, obviously, as a very successful man in life, and I've made this joke a couple times, I don't know, Brian, very many very successful, call it wealthy, call it whatever you want to call it, men that like to set money on fire. So I know you're a very smart guy, obviously. What is the plan for sustainability to take this into year 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 down the road?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting question. I mean, I understand, and I've talked to several people that have asked me, like, if you get into bass fishing, don't get into it to make money, right?
No, yeah, that's right.
I think that's where you're going.
Well, not even that as much as obviously you got to have a return on investment, right? To a certain degree in any business to make it sustainable, and to invest that much in this, without sponsorship yet, without everything solidified almost. That's the question. And the old adage in bass fishing is, if you want to make $1 million in bass fishing, you start with 2. That's how most businesses work, as you well know. You got to invest.
Yeah, I mean, all the ancillary stuff is going to add up to something, right? I mean, the concert, we have 500 hotel rooms there at the Gaylord. We're going to be bundling and selling packages, VIP passes, the Saunders Ferry Park that day, all the stuff going on there. I mean, things are going to bring in some revenue, but and then the streaming of it, right, is potentially where I think we're going to make our revenue to make this sustainable. Yeah, this is costing a lot of money to produce something like this. Our budget is about 10 million. I think we're probably 2.5 million light on the budget, just from my business experience and just thinking of things that I know they're not thinking about, things that are going to pop up and stuff like that.
It's inevitable, right? No matter what the business is, you can have a plan, but there's always going to be something.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, it's a $12.5 million production. So that's a lot of money, no doubt about it. But we have a plan. Still working on some streaming stuff with some companies that I feel like are going to come through that potentially step up and can see the vision, and see how many people would probably actually watch this thing. And so through the sponsorships, I think, we're not here to, I mean, if we can make a lot of money, that'd be crazy. That'd be good. If that's what entrepreneurship's about. But as long as we can, make a little money, not lose too much money, break even, there's a happy medium there for me to make sure to want to continue this. And that's the goal, is to want to continue this for a long time. And I think as you continue, each year you'll probably get more, sponsorships will go up. Things will come around to you, where we're out trying to, right now, being our first year, we're trying to convince people why we're going to be successful, and why should we get in and back here. And this first year is going to be a lot about proving ourselves, showing what we can do, what type of event we put on, and how it's accepted throughout the bass fishing community. And we'll see how we do it based upon all that, and then move from there. But I feel comfortable we're going to be able to keep moving this thing on year after year.
Well, I sure hope so. I think that just by the reaction, obviously the anglers, if I'm an elite MLF pro, I'm all about this. You fish for a living, you work very hard, and it is sad to me where payouts are, whether it's the crown jewel of the sport, the Bassmaster Classic, whether it's an elite series. These guys work so hard. $100,000 ain't $100,000 anymore, as you will know. $100,000 to at the top level, you work your tail off.
You pay for a bass boat.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I do think these are the type payouts these guys deserve to see, right. Without question. Have you internally, and I would assume you guys have, but as far as I've heard you mention the bass fishing industry, you got to be thinking non-endemic partnerships as well, right? Outside of the industry of fishing, just because that's bread and butter for an event like this, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're definitely going to be looking out to some non-endemic, and hopefully, even reaching some people that don't even usually watch bass fishing.
Yeah.
How we're going to promote this thing. Today's Super Bowl Sunday, right? Could you imagine football right now? They would have stopped 2 weeks ago. They had the NFC and the AFC championship, and just would have been, all right, that's it. The season's over, and without the Super Bowl. And that's, in my mind, in my eyes, the last 6, 7, however many years, 8 years, that's how bass fishing's been. I mean, you got the Classic, and you got the Red Crest, which is kind of like the NFC championship and the AFC championship. And then, there's no true championship. So we're going to promote this in a way where people start understanding what we're doing, and they're going to jump in. And we're going to make it happen. I don't have all the answers today. I wish I did.
Of course. Well, and listen,
we're going to get there.
Well, I think that it's, for me, I agree with you. The Classic kind of kicks off the year. It's weird now. You got 2 elite events before the Classic, and Red Crest is kind of the same way. That year-end championship doesn't happen anymore. And that used to be how that went. I also think, kudos to you guys for having it in the fall. That's one of the things I love about MPFL is we do have some fall events, and I think that's missing in professional bass fishing anymore at a marquee fall event, whether that's tackle companies being able to sell a little bit different assortment of tackle because it's not so spring heavy. The elite schedules, BPT, it's heavy pre-spawn and spawn. So you get a different deal there all the way around. So I think having it away from all that will certainly help you get participation from the industry at the expo. That was one of my critiques on Red Crest when it first happened, just because it was right on top of the Classic, and you're almost making the industry choose this 2 or 3 week time frame to spend crazy amounts of money, travel. You know what I mean? It really put everybody, like you said, you're trying to draw everybody back together with this. That's kind of, we've seen that division. So I applaud you guys for that, for sure. Now, I know this question will come up. I've not heard you guys say this anywhere yet. What kind of format are we looking at, Brian? Are we looking at 5 fish? You got every fish counts. Like, are you guys going to mix it up? Because you got guys coming from both trails. So if you're willing, what's the format looking like for this event?
Yes, sir. Yeah. For simplicity, our first year here, I mean, not to say next year we don't change it up a little, but we're just going to do a 5 fish, your best 5, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Okay. The weights will not reset on Saturday. They'll carry over. We'll start off with the 50, 55, 56 anglers because, if you win the event, you're in, and it's the top 25. Mm-hmm. So, it'll go over 50. We don't know how many, but anyway, we'll start off with that many anglers. They'll fish Friday, Saturday, and the championship Saturday, we'll have 15 anglers left.
Okay.
Field, and it'll be the best 5 on that day as well.
Awesome.
Then next year, after we get this first year behind us, next year we may we'll learn some things from this year. We may change it up to, who knows? But I know how MLF does theirs, and I know how Bass does theirs, and as far as their tournaments, and I don't know what that looks like, but I can see us trying to adapt some of the MLF style fishing into the format next year. Maybe whoever has the most qualifiers, maybe we need to do a best 5 first day, MLF style the second day, and then take their top 15, and whoever has the most, we fish that way Saturday. I don't know. There's lots of ways to skin this cat.
Sure.
This year we're going to do the best 5.
Yeah, and I think best 5, and this is no knock on the MLF format because I've talked about it on here a lot. It creates drama. It's very interesting. The Every Fish Counts format, guys can run off with it. It also creates some crazy buzzer beater moments we've seen on live the last couple of years. But I think for the average fan, as far as how we all got into this sport, I've been around it since I was 12 years old. 5 fish. That's been, it's been around a while, right? So it's easy to relate to that for a guy that's watching at home.
Yep. Yeah, and all the tournaments we fish here in Texas and pretty much all over the country, because you don't have that technology and that it takes the fish like the MLS do. It's pretty much a 5 fish streamer. And then even here when it gets hot in the summertime, we go to a lot of 3 fish streamers.
Mm-hmm.
So for the care of the fish, but I think the 5 fish format fits well for this event.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I gave you a hard time on the phone the other day. I said I call it old stingy. Old Hickory can be stingy, so I hope somebody catches 5 a day. They will.
They will.
They will for sure. Especially the bunch you're going to have that's going to qualify for this. They gonna catch 5.
And we're allowed to lock out. Lock into the river. So I mean, they're going to catch them. They're going to find them.
Doubt.
There's no doubt in my mind they'll find them. I think what it will do is it'll make Championship Saturday pretty interesting. There's not going to be nobody running away with it, I don't believe. And so it's going to make some good to watch TV type stuff for a world championship style tournament, to be crowned a world champion for this year and earn that big paycheck, $1.25 million. There's a lot of them anglers. They've been fishing 20 years and haven't, and still to this day haven't made $1.25 million with all of their earnings added together. People that don't know fishing probably don't realize how big of a deal this truly is.
No doubt.
As far as the payday, I mean, even $500,000 for second place and $300,000 for third and $200 for fourth and $100 for fifth. I was doing some research. You can take the Classic and you can take the Red Crest and add their total payouts to all their anglers for both events together. And I think it's around $1.6 million ballpark. And our total event is $3 million. So, I mean, that I'm just trying to put some legitimate,
no doubt.
Bring this up to make people really think about it. 2 of the biggest tournaments in the world add up to about $1.6 million of payouts, and our one championship tournament, these anglers, we're $3 million. We're doubling what those 2 together do in one championship tournament. So
it's incredible. And with that said, how are they reacting to this news? Are you guys working with them? I know obviously the qualifications are based on their leagues, right? So how are those conversations going? How does that look? Because as you said, you're doubling. If you added those payouts together from the 2 marquee events that exist in the sport for each individual organization there, you're doubling that. So I feel like they got to be a little bit like, man, he's making us look bad to a certain extent, right? I mean, how are those conversations going?
I've talked to them, and I'm just going to shoot you straight. They've been nice to me. They haven't been mean to me at all. They're trying to support and help me. I've actually tried to get them to come in and be part of it. I'm not here to try to. Without them and doing what they're doing, we can't do what we do, right? We all need each other, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I've got another idea that to throw another $500,000 at this thing if they'll come on board. It's no cost to them. I'm not asking them for any money.
Right.
I'm not asking them. I'm asking them for a little help in promotion. And then you asked me earlier about putting on the tournament, right? The tournament part itself. Mm-hmm. I've got everything else. I mean, my vision, we're good there. But and they've potentially offered up maybe doing that, but you know, I haven't heard much out of them the last few weeks, and I'm sure they're busy. But you know, if I could get to their resources, to the, you know, their MCs, you know, stuff like that, they're filming people, the people that run their tournaments. That's what they do. And I told them I would pay for that. I'm not even asking for them to just give me those services. I don't want them to be out a penny. Because I feel like this is helping promote their league as well. You know, and if we could come out in 2 weeks and say, you know, World Bass Enterprises, BASS, and MLF are all going to be part of this tournament, I mean, I think it would shake up the fishing world again, right?
Oh, for sure. If we had a kumbaya moment, so to speak, because obviously they're vicious competitors, just like the NPFL is a competitor of theirs as well now, right? They've been in the game the you know, least amount of time. They're headed into year 6, but it's competition. They're all competing for sponsors, for anglers, for views, all the things. So yeah, it would be. I would say, as someone that's you know, kept up with this for as long as I have and been in it as long as I have, it would be unprecedented. Yeah, it would definitely get some attention if you announce, hey, we're all holding hands in this deal together and making this thing as big as we can make it for the anglers, right? For the anglers and for the fans. That would be a very big moment in this sport, without question.
Yep. And that's what I hope we can do. But if we can't, don't worry. We'll be just fine. We'll move on. And then they might need to worry.
I was going to say, it sounds like you are a man that you know what you want. You're trying to get there with this deal. And if they want to play in the sandbox with you, they can. If they don't, you're still going to have one hell of an event regardless, Brian. That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, no, and that's exactly right. I just think it'd be better for everybody if they want to, but if not, it's fine. We got a great team around us. You know, people that we're partnering with, they produce some pretty big events throughout the year. It's going to be cool. It's going to be good. Without a doubt. All right. One last question. What is your, Brian Bird, as you sit here today on Super Bowl Sunday, what is your goal for this event in 2026? If you have one goal that would just, regardless of the money spent, the money brought in, whatever the case is, what's your goal, your personal goal with this event?
For the fans and the anglers to walk away and say, you know what, that was the best event in fishing I've ever attended, and it was just the coolest atmosphere, and I will be going back next year.
Well said.
That's and I do have what do you think? I wanted to ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
So Cherry and all them guys are out there fishing right now, trying to become the second qualifier for this event of this year. You think it's, you know, I know they're thinking about the 100,000 that's up for winnings, and you think our tournaments crossed their mind today? Like, I gotta win. If I win, I'm in.
You know, it's got to be. I got to think it's somewhere in there, whether it's when they're out there actually on the water. All those guys, this has been such a crazy week news-wise in the fishing world. You guys rocked the boat, right? And they've all been talking about it. So I could assure you, if I'm in the Elite Series this week, I'm thinking, man, I get a spot. You dang right. I'm thinking about that $1.25 million in the fall. I'll assure you, every time I catch one, I'm thinking about that. And if I'm, got off to a bad start, maybe I'm a guy that finished in the bottom part of the field in this first Elite Series of the year, I'm probably looking at myself in the mirror and saying, I better figure out how to get this ship turned around to be in the top 25.
Hey, they got their work cut out of them. I guarantee you, you make the top 25, you're going to have, it's going to be a field of I think it'll probably be the best field of 50 anglers ever put on the water in history of bass fishing. You'll have a hard time, arguing otherwise, right?
It'd be I was going to say, it would be very hard to argue otherwise between the top 25 for BPT and the top 25 from the Elite Series plus the winners. I think that you will have the cream of the crop, and it will be a very competitive field. Oh, I said last question, but I know this will come up in the comments of this. Forward facing sonar. You said yourself, you're a scoper. We know Dalton's a scoper. I love to scope. And in my commentating days, I've watched them scope and I've watched them no scope now in the MPFL. And guess what? Watching fishing is watching fishing, regardless for me. But for a lot of fans, it has been kind of that divisive thing. Yeah. What are you guys what's your approach on forward facing sonar for this big event?
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty simple. Thursday, Friday are qualifying days. One day you can scope, one day there's no scope.
Okay.
You choose what day you want to stoke. They're the ones that are going to be pre-fishing and practicing, and they may, for some reason, want to stoke one day over another. So I didn't want to say Thursday stoke, Friday no stoke. So we just leave it up to the angler.
Okay.
Decide what day of qualifying they want to use their scope. And then on championship Saturday, we expect every day to be about 8 hours on the water. It'll be if it's 7.5 hours or whatever. It'll be half with and half without, half the fishing time with scope. And it's not a turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, where we're having to keep track and all that. It's just going to be, once you turn it on, you'll either have it for 3.5 hours or 4 hours, somewhere around there.
I like it. I like that a lot. I love the idea of split. I definitely applauded Bass on that this year and MLF for their changes last year on that as well. I think that's a good way to do it. Keeps everybody happy. Anglers, fans, they get a little bit of mix of everything in that deal. I like that. Yeah, I lied to you and said that was the last question. That was indeed the last question, Brian.
No, that's fine. It's great. I've enjoyed it, Luke, and in a couple more months there'll be a lot more that we have figured out. I can promise you there's more details, and we'll get back on here and talk about it again. I would love to share, as we get further down the tracks on this thing and know more, be able to answer more things a little more specific than I've been able to today. We would love that opportunity, and do it again in a couple of months maybe.
Well, I would love to, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing what you can with us and what you did. And man, I wish you guys the best of luck. It's ambitious. I told you that on the phone, but man, it's a pretty daggum cool thing to see that we could be headed into $1 million winning bass anglers again. And that's something I never thought I'd see again in my lifetime.
Here's what it's true. I know how we're going to do this. I can't tell you. A lot of people ask. I'm just going to, the fans that are out there listening, if you want to continue to see this type of, give us a chance. Let us show you what we're going to do. But if you want to continue to see this, it's going to be up to the fans to get behind us and support us. That's what's going to make this work. And you'll understand why later when I say that. We can go get all the sponsorships and everything, but it's going to take the fans to get behind. I mean, I think they will get behind it. I don't know why they wouldn't. But anyway, more to come on that.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there he is, Brian Bird. We appreciate you, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, that's all she wrote with Brian Bird right there, the man from World Bass Enterprises, trying to do the unthinkable, pay $1 million for first place in a bass tournament. We've seen that a couple times in the past. It never has held up, though. It was never sustainable. Will he find a way to make it sustainable? It is admirable what he is doing, without a doubt. And I thank him for joining us, low-lifers. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Man, we're just going to kind of be in a holding pattern, waiting to see what happens with this deal between now and the last week of October. But again, I thank Brian for coming on. I thank y'all for listening like you do each and every week. Going to take you out with some Biloxi Blues. And I'll see y'all next week. See.
I never could make it
last. Spanish Moss, Civil War Ghost. Y'all know the damn word.
I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest. This highway, it does not know my name.